Shh, be quiet. Don't say that. What did I say? Chill, relax. The Impossible Conversation Podcast. Let's talk.
Welcome to the Impossible Conversation. I'm Coach Sarita.
And I'm Mira.
And this is where we shift generations through impossible conversations. So today we are super excited because we have a guest with us, Sorel. And Sorel is a creative. He's artistic. He's a rapper. I mean, he just does so many things. I don't know where to start and where to stop. So he's going to be joining us in this conversation around training up a child in the way they should go. So for both Mira and I, we've had similar upbringings. We grew up in two-parent households, had a traditional mother and father who worked outside of the home, and we were instilled a lot of good things. And Sorel's lifestyle was a little bit different than ours, so we wanted to have a balanced perspective on parenting and just how important parenting is. So I just want to start off with a little bit around what my household looked like. Me being a Generation X, because we're always talking generations here. My household was a little bit strict. I think it was a little bit strict, but not over the top. So in my household, what parenting looked like is, my mother was actually more of the disciplinarian than my father was. And my father always took the stance of, it's because we're girls. So a mom should be, kind of directing their behaviors because you are a woman, so you know how to raise girls. So my dad kind of took a more laid back approach to the parenting style. If, my mom said, I'm going to call your father, it was like, oh God, oh Lord, don't call him. He didn't know what to do with us because, he loved us so much because you know how daddies are with their daughters. Yeah. So, that was like, okay, yeah, call dad because nothing's going to happen.
Right.
But my mom she barked a lot. There was never any hitting going on. No one got popped or smacked or anything like that. Yeah. No cords. Yeah, we grew up kind of like that. Kind of, I think it was kind of Huxtable-ish. It was similar to the Huxtable.
So we got the old fashion. I grew up with like my grandmother, so
okay.
She come from that era where like she was whipping out the belt or
something.
Switches.
Did she have
No
switches?
She
used the belt.
Yeah, she was belt wolf. Like she was real stern. So
okay.
You know what I'm saying. I grew up around generations like with my grandmother and like her kids. So my uncle's not too older than I am. Probably like 6-7 years. So I grew up around them and like my mother, but no popping situation like that. So
okay. Now let's be clear. I got beat with a belt too. So let's be clear. I got the belt too.
Sorry.
How many times you got the belt that you can count on?
I cannot count on both hands. Actually, it's a little bit more. I was defiant, so I got beat a lot, but I digress.
Not beat, not like that, but
not beat, right? Exactly. Pop, chest ties,
and discipline.
Yes.
That's good.
And sometimes it's necessary. I mean, because realistically, you need to allow kids to know that you are their parent. A lot of parents these days want to be their kid's friend.
Right.
And it is really causing a huge disconnect between the generations. And I think that's where some of the respect has gone out the window for adults.
Yeah.
Is based off of parents wanting to be their child's friend.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I'm a nice mom. We laugh, we joke, we play, but there's a line. So you know that I'm mom also.
Yeah.
And when I do the look, when I, inflect a little eye or I, change my voice a little bit,
all kids
you know that look.
You shoot that eye at you.
Okay, it's over. It's over. Shut it down. And that's important.
Yeah, I grew up my mother is I'm literally half my mother's age, so she had me at 18. Yeah, so I grew up with a majority of the issues that she went through, I went through with her, so we kind of built that relationship with
So you were friends.
Yeah, so we actually were friends, and that's my mother too. But I know the difference from if I'm saying whether to play with her right now or don't play with her at all.
Right.
I got a mutual respect for, and I know I got to deal with my grandmother afterwards. So
right.
I don't want to do that at all.
Right.
You don't want no parts.
Nah.
And that's really important because I think a generational household also lends a different amount of respect for a child.
Right.
Because the things that even my generation, we have a generational household as well, but my mother parents different than I do.
Mm-hmm.
So she tries to be a little bit more lenient because she is now grandmom and not mom.
Mm-hmm.
But there definitely is some things that me being her child, I look like, oh my God, if I would have done this, you would have had a whole fit.
Yeah,
So I'll use you in 30 seconds to kind of explain it to me, because I don't know what it's like to be the child growing up in a household with the grandparents. But I would think for my children, do they feel like I have two parents here?
Yeah, that's
Actually four. Actually four, because it's, my husband and I, and then it's my father and my mother. So did you feel like you had two parents?
I mean, yeah, of course you get that two parent like kind of household feel, but it's not. I wouldn't say like exactly the same. Like my grandmother probably, you know what I'm saying, was like my father in a sexual way, and my mother played the role of my mother. But you know what I'm saying.
Okay.
And it's kind of difficult, being as though like, I get more strict rules from my grandmother than my mom.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Why do you think that is?
She ain't that. She already knew, like, that she had to be that stern. You know what I'm saying? I got to be the one that have him in check, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? Because I know that it's either the streets or,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's a bad spiral.
Right.
As father in, so I got to stand up and do that. So.
Now I want to take a sharp right turn here and talk about fathers, because the way I just explained it in my household was that my father kind of let the reins go to my mom as far as raising the girls. And I have sons, so, it's imperative in my eyes that my husband takes on a lot of the responsibility of rearing my sons, because I can never teach them how to be a man.
Yeah.
So without having that in your household, without having that visual, ocular demonstration of what a mill looked like, I mean, I can just think about things as far as my father's generation was concerned, which are phenomenal. My father would never allow a woman to carry bags.
Yeah. No, none of that.
I mean, that was just like, it's such a small thing, but my husband does the same thing too.
With that being said, like you said, carry bags. You know what I'm saying, growing up with my mother and my grandmother, I learned that.
Okay.
Like, don't carry no bags. You make sure you're on the outside of the street. Like, like nothing.
All the
Nothing.
traditional
Yeah. All the traditional. Open the door for them.
Right.
They get all that. So it's not like
like you missed out on it.
Yeah, and plus I have uncles too who actually do that. Like I grew up probably about 4 or 5 uncles. You know what I'm saying?
And they showed you those things. Yeah, I mean, because I think those things are, of course, becoming more and more watered down.
Yeah.
And, I try to do the same thing with my sons when I have bags from the supermarket. My daughter's really quick to run and grab bags, just like, her mom. But, it's like, get off your game and come and grab these bags. So I always was curious as to those things, as far as like even paying the check at a restaurant.
Right.
Do you know, or do you understand, or, how is that handled when you didn't have that ocular demonstration of?
Yeah, it's basically it's like you gotta, like, I try to just, it's like not like dominant, but you know that like being a man, you got a big responsibility to basically take care of more things than others. If I'm saying,
right,
the respect level, you know what I'm saying, as a man should be, a little bit more superior in certain situations. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can't you can't let that situation, like grabbing the check and all that.
Right.
Well, if I was on a date and a female, lady I'm on a date with, she try to grab a check, I would feel kind of disrespectful.
Yeah. So for me, I'm wondering now, if you don't feel like, the lessons of being a man in a way of picking up the check, like you said, or pulling out the lady seat, weren't things that you missed out on not having a dad, what do you feel like was missing from not having your father present in your home?
Well, actually feeling what other parts of me came from him. Like, you know what I'm saying? His
So it's more for you. Okay.
It's more like patterns or how he act, or just growing up to my mother, I already know, like, I see me in her already. It's like, you know what I'm saying? So I try not to do the things that she always do, like want to argue or fight and all that, you know what I'm saying? So try to keep that, just building see what I get from them. Basically.
Right. You need
It's
his
kinda hard.
personality and his energy to kind of fill in the
Yeah.
blanks for who you
For
are.
who I am.
Yeah,
growing
I
up.
understand that.
Now, I would like to expound upon that a little bit further. So, is it that you don't have a relationship with him at all, or is it that you do, but it's a very loose association?
Before the last time I saw him, which was last week, I've seen him.
Yeah, like
chilling.
start at the beginning
Alright.
before last week.
Right.
Alright.
Right.
That's
Growing up
okay.
in your household,
Yeah,
what
no,
was it
no, no.
like?
You're
Was
not-
he ever there?
No, never, not there. The first time I probably remember seeing him, came and get me, and he just he took me to McDonald's.
Oh.
My mother was already cooking dinner. It was spaghetti that night. I still remember like yesterday. It was raining outside, and then that was they had a little Monopoly joint inside the McDonald's joint.
Yeah.
Dropped me off, and that was the last time I seen him until I was probably about 8 by that time, and then I probably was like 12. Next time I seen him.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big
And then that's a 4-year gap right there.
Right.
And I wanted to spend a week. I went with him to go to his girlfriend's house. Spent a week with them,
Okay.
with my little sister and my little brother, my older sister and my little brother for the first time. You know what I'm saying? And that was the first time I met him, first time I seen him.
Okay.
Spent the week with him. And I'm used to being the oldest on my mom's side. I got a little brother and little sister on my mom's side. So going over there and spending a week with her, I got an older sister. She thinks she can tell me what to do. I'm like, yo,
Right.
like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't. It's not there.
Right.
So yeah.
So
Like
that was 12, and then
12, and then I was 15. 15. I was
Okay,
coming home
so
from school.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, it's cool.
So the 12-year-old Thomas, you stayed for a week.
Yeah.
So it's not that he doesn't acknowledge that you are his child,
No,
because he kept you for a week. We don't just take in children and allow them to stay. So
yeah.
when he kept you for a week after that, how did that vacation, how did that stay over, how did it end that would now cause there to be a 3-year gap between you guys spending time together again?
Yeah, let's see. What I think it is like, his girlfriend at the time had kids.
Okay.
So you know what I'm saying? So how can you live in a house with her kids and acknowledge her kids and
Right.
take care of her kids
Right.
and
One would
not see
think.
your own? You know what I'm saying? So I'm guessing that was probably like
like
to
a
make
guilt.
it a
It
guilt
was to
thing.
fulfill
Right.
the
You feel what I'm saying?
Okay.
So he came, we got me, got my little brother and my little
Okay.
sister, and we spent a little time together, but that was it. Like, and I haven't seen her or my little sister, my older sister or my little brother since.
Wow.
And next time I seen him was on a bus, and he sat next to me and didn't know who I was.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm like.
So let's unpack that. So he sat next to you on a bus. A man who
Yeah.
you and him share the same DNA,
Same DNA.
and he didn't even recognize you.
15, I think I was 15, 16, 10th grade. Didn't know who I was. I'm sitting in the back of the bus. I'm on the right hand corner. My friend in the middle seat, and he sat on the left seat. I told my friend, like,
That's my
That's
dad.
my dad.
that's my dad. Like,
Right.
I'm like, so seats for me, that's my dad.
Right.
He like, nah, it's not your dad. Why he ain't say nothing to you?
Wow, that's a
Wow.
good question. I
This
mean, I
particular-
understand the
And this
question.
particular friend has his father and his mother and his life, so he don't really understand where I was
Right.
coming from.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, which is really strange. I mean, and this is just literally a sharp right turn. But I thought the same way growing up. Like, I thought everyone that grew up in the same neighborhood with me,
Yeah.
everyone who went to church with me, every activity, that they were in the same type of a household. So even though I might not have saw that other parent, I assumed that parent was there. Maybe they were at work and, they just weren't at the activities. But I thought we kind of all grew up in the same type of
Yeah.
a household.
Surroundings.
For me, it was different. I would say I knew pretty young that I was privileged. I would say things in school like, they'd say, we're going to catch the bus here, or this weekend we're going to walk from this place all the way across town. And I'm like, why you ain't getting in your dad's car?
Right.
Why you ain't see your mom to drop you off? And they're like, Amira, you're so spoiled. Like, people were just kind of annoyed with things that I thought were normal. So I was like, I think I'm different.
Right.
And for a while, I felt bad about it. But then as I got older, I just started to see really how blessed I am. But again, I just knew younger that I was different because everything that I said, everybody was like, you could just walk there.
Right.
Or, why are you calling your dad? Calling him for what?
And it was the same way in my household. Like, I wasn't allowed to do the walking.
Mm-hmm.
I very infrequently caught buses
Mm-hmm.
alone, you know. If it was getting dark, I would call for a ride. And no one else did that. So I probably should have
picked up
recognized that something was different between us, but it didn't ever impress upon me and you couldn't do that thing. It was just that you weren't doing it.
We took that walk everywhere. You know what I'm saying? We took that walk everywhere. From Broad Street to 33rd and Diamond to 25th and from 25th and Red to 25th and Sergeant. We took that walk everywhere.
Wow. So okay, let's get back to
when you constantly like in one area of the city, like in one specific hood, like it's fun just walking to other places.
And I agree because what my friends say in the mirror, we can just walk or just come with us, like
right.
Sit on the bus. I started to see like, wow, I remember the first time. Oh, this is crazy. I lived with my grandmom at the time, and I went to Mastery Charter Shoemaker campus. And my friends were like, we're gonna go downtown and we're gonna go to the gallery after school, and I was like, I can't do that. Right. I was like, I gotta call my grandma, but at the time I didn't have a phone. Right. So I'm like, guys, I can't go. So anyways, I end up walking from 52nd Street Terminal all the way to my grandma's house. She lives really close to Malcolm X Park. And when I got home, she was like, what are you doing home? So I was like, Grandma, I want to tell you something. Like, I wanted to go to the gallery so bad, but I knew I had to come home and ask you. And of course she said, you know you can go into town with your friends. Are you kidding me? So I felt so stupid. But anyways, doing those things when I finally, got the okay from her, I was like, wow, this is actually pretty fun, seeing different parts of the town. Right. It helps you grow up a little bit.
Yeah.
I was just so used to going in with my parents and them looking for my size. It's funny. That's when I knew how to pick out my own size. I thought you just pick anything.
Right.
But then I'm like, this is really big. And I'm like, oh, sizes. I was so spoiled.
Yes.
Spoiled.
So now you understood what they were talking about as far as the spoiled.
Yes. Spoiled.
So I want to get back to what we were just talking about as far as, the last time you saw your father and it was on public transportation and he didn't recognize you. So if you could just share just a little bit more about that, because that to me is pretty deep.
Yeah.
And I can't even imagine how it made you feel that this man didn't even.
I wasn't surprised.
Wow.
I wasn't surprised.
That is
I just asked to switch seats with my man, like, my friend, like, he like, you, like, that's not your dad, like, he ain't say nothing to you.
Right.
So now, like, switch seats with him, I'm like, what's up, boy, what's up?
Right.
Like, I ain't calling you dad, no like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
so, you guys did have a conversation?
Yeah, we had a conversation, but it was more so like, you know how like you gotta try to break that awkwardness of conversation, so we started talking about your mom, you know what I'm saying?
Okay. Oh, he talked about your mom.
He brought up my mom.
Oh, okay.
But like, see what crazy thing is, I was thinking back, that's why I feel like this conversation was like what I needed, because like a month or so ago, I was thinking back to how like, people always say I'm smooth, but I kinda can say the most disrespectful stuff in like really, really nice and smooth ways that you will get what I'm saying, but like it's kind of like disrespectful.
Right.
And like, charisma. And that's what he did. Like,
Oh.
you know what I'm saying? So in that situation, I'm like, damn.
That's where I got it.
That's why I got it. And I didn't know that it was disrespectful until like, you know what I'm saying? Like a year or two later, I'm late basically. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, what we actually talk about?
Right.
And he was like, he basically was saying some disrespectful stuff. So like, the last time I saw him from today was last week, and I'm at the Green Eggs Cafe, and I just so happened to pick my aunt up from work, and I'm like, she's hungry, she wanted breakfast, and she always eat Dunkin' Donuts. She always eat the Poppy store, you know what I'm saying, bacon, egg, and cheese. So I'm like, let's go to Green Egg. I know you haven't been there.
Nice.
So alright, so I took her there, and we sitting down, and about a half hour into like, talking and eating and stuff, I see this, this little figure walking up, coming past. I kind of look at his sneakers, and I look up, and he looking at my sneakers, and he looking up. So we like checking each other layout, like he had a mask on, and like I know that's
of course
You feel me? So I knew exactly who he was, and then we locked eyes, like, and he just kept on walking. So I knew he knew, like, I don't know if he knew who I was or he was like, all right, bro, like, I can't just, like, you feel what I'm saying? Like, he a grown man now, like, you know what I'm saying? What am I going to do? Like,
I really don't know. I don't know.
See,
I mean, because I can't imagine
I can't live.
that you could see your child and walk by them and not acknowledge them.
And in that instant, like, you know how you, like, as an instinct of, like, seeing your parent, you get excited.
Right.
Like, I had that, like, for this fast.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's my dad.
Right.
And then it was like, you know what I'm saying?
But it's not.
Yo, like, that's my dad.
Right.
And then it went straight to anger, like,
wow.
yo, that's my dad. Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? That nigga just walked, excuse my language, but he just walked right past me, like, what?
Right.
So my aunt like, oh, what's up? What you mean?
Right.
What's going on? I'm like, nah, like, I wanted to fight him. Like,
Okay.
I was about to fight him in grenades, you know?
I think this is a good time to bring in our sponsor.
Yeah.
This episode was brought to you by ECM Enrichment Center. A peace of mind while your children are learning virtually. Visit their website for more information, www.ecmenrichment.com.
ABC 1, 2, 3.
So I just want to go back into some of Terrell's experience. I mean, I just appreciate you being here so much because your transparency is going to help so many individuals. We were just talking a little bit further behind the scenes around just your spirit, your energy, your vibe is just such a positive one. And coming from a household that had to be super stressful, coming from an experience where you just saw your father and he walked right by you as if he didn't even know you, I can't imagine what that does to you internally. I mean, in those times when you're by yourself, you know, you have a beautiful smile that you're presenting to us today, but in those quiet times, those times when we get to ourselves that we just look in the mirror and say, who I am, how I got here, how could this be? What is it that you tell yourself about your relationship with your father? What is your hopes for your father? What is the plans for your future? I know I'm giving you a lot, but it's like all bubbling up in me right now.
I don't have no plans for him. Like, I would, during that instance of seeing him, I would have hoped that I wouldn't have seen him. Like, I talked to my mother afterwards and I told him that I would have been off, like, knowing he was dead.
Wow.
So, and I wanted to do it myself, but I'm not that guy. So,
Right.
you know what I'm saying? Like, I just can't see how you can go 10 years without knowing where. You know where my grandmother lived, so my grandmother lived in the same house my whole life.
Right.
So you know how to contact me.
Right.
And
It just hurts that he doesn't want to.
it don't hurt though.
It does.
It don't hurt me.
I mean, your eyes are glassy.
My eyes are glassy. That doesn't mean nothing. I'm saying with lights on my face, bro.
No.
So at the end of the
I
day,
mean,
I know it feels some type of way. It does feel. It
Yes.
doesn't hurt, but it feels some type of way towards me.
Right.
It gives me anger. It's not
As it should.
It's not like.
Don't take it as, this
It's
is
like
not
I'm
something that's
missing.
make you less of a man.
Yeah.
To have an emotion about it doesn't make you less of a man. It actually makes you a more empowered man.
Yeah.
Because what you recognize is that thing that man is doing to me, I would never do to my child.
Yeah. But,
So we need to process, number one, where you are. Because if you don't ever process where you are, you're literally just stuffing stuff into a bag.
yeah.
And your bag is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
I do that a lot though. I do, yeah. Yeah. And I almost exploded on him. So.
Right. So, and then
So
you don't
what
want to
do
be
we
there.
do?
So if you didn't care,
It's
you
not
wouldn't
that,
have that feeling that you want to hurt
it's not
somebody
that-
if you don't care.
It's not
Right.
like it's not like it don't hurt or I don't care. It's like, and I don't think it's taking a big as a toll. Like I don't normally. It's not an everyday thought. You know what I'm saying?
Right. I mean, it's
I
not
got-
every day that you're speaking in front of cameras and tons of people telling
Not that.
such a deep story.
Yeah, it's like more. It's like more simple than that. Like, I don't just wake up and be like, why he ain't here? Why wasn't he here? You know what
Okay.
I'm saying?
But let's tap
it's
into that
just
place
life.
where I saw him with the mask on. He eyed me up and down. Apparently he approved of my gear, but he didn't say hi. So let's live in that for 30 seconds and say, how did that make Terrell feel? Outside of the anger, let's put the anger to the side.
First excited,
Right.
because you
Of
said,
course.
and then
Of course. Excited.
So in that excitement, if we were just to dig into that excitement, what were we thinking would happen? Because we're all our 8-year-old self. We all stopped at 8 years old.
yeah.
So our 8-year-old self had that tiptoe anticipation that my dad would do, that my dad would be, that my dad was what?
Not there. Like, it doesn't matter.
He was there though.
I know he was not. You can't just say he was there. He was not. It's not even. It's not that simple. No.
I do. Because it's very awkward.
No,
and I feel
this
like
is
you
where
just
the
need to
conversation
digress.
it progresses.
You're shutting down though.
I'm not shutting down. I'm about to
You're
open up.
literally getting mad at me
I'm
right
not.
now. You're heated.
I'm heated because
Let's take a
I
break.
want to talk.
Let's be taking
Can we get
a
Ross some water too?
Oh.
I just want to say thank you so much to Sorel for being here because, I mean, your conversation, your transparency is really allowing individuals, our viewers and our listeners to just get comfortable with who they are and where they are. We have to really get deep and flat-footed in our truth so we know who we are. I mean, if you don't know who you are, you don't know where you're going. So I'm just so grateful that you're here and that you're willing to share and allow our listeners to gain some knowledge around how you got past some of the hurt that you've experienced in your relationship with your parents and not having really a strong relationship with your father, or, you know, that's kind of understatement that is strong, but the loose association that you two have with each other. So I wanted to just listen in a little bit more about how that makes you feel. You know, I think we can look at the analogy of just flip the coin, because I like to always put myself in another person's shoes. So if you were to have just a toddler, you know, you had a little 3-year-old, and your 3-year-old son was standing there, and he had on some nice gear, some nice sneakers, and this man, being his father, looked down at him, looked him up and down once, you know, giving him a sign of approval that you look really cute, but then you continue to walk away from him. So just allow that to resonate in your spirit for a minute and just go there. So removing Terrell from it. Let's take the name Terrell off of it and just say, this happened in this scenario. How do you think that child would feel?
I don't even know. I don't know. I can't do it without the name on it because that's my scenario.
Okay.
As
Great.
as a grown man.
Right. Okay.
And I was hurt.
Okay.
I don't like using that word.
It's a vulnerable place. I understand.
But I ain't wanna go there. I ain't
Right.
feeling. I wasn't ready for all that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's what we do in the impossible conversations. We go
Mhm.
places that we didn't anticipate, but the transparency helps others. So that's always our goal here.
But it's not though. I felt like that basically like right after, like basically I needed his approval though. It was like me putting up that wall, like you know what I'm saying? Instead of accepting or just seeing what's going on. Made up a lot of excuses in my head why like he did what he did, you know what I'm saying? So to me it was like, alright, fuck it. I mean, see my language. Alright, like, forget it, like I'm on to the next, you know, thing. Like,
Did what you had to do
life.
to remedy your own pain.
Yeah, of course. So,
That's a good way to say it.
basically
That's a
move
good
on.
way to say it, yeah.
I mean, you know, seeing him more, it wasn't like he was gonna try to, I was saying, it wasn't like it was gonna matter.
Okay.
To me, I didn't feel like it would matter if he would have had a conversation or talked about anything.
Okay.
If I'm saying so, like if we did have a conversation right then and there, I would just want to know where my brother and my sister are.
Okay.
I don't need a relationship with you. What? I don't want one with you. With my brother and my sister.
So let's go in a perfect world. If your dad had to come up to you and had a open, vulnerable conversation with you about your perspective on how he was as a parent, do you think you would have been receptive to that, or how do you think you would have handled him?
Yes.
You know how he came to
I would have been receptive.
You would have been, which means you do want it.
No, it's not exactly meaning. That's what I'm talking about the trigger and stuff. Which
Okay.
means you do want it and then the smile. If I'm saying that's that's kind of like you hit with the hurt thing.
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't want it. It's like I don't. It's not that I don't want it. It's not that I need it. You feel what I'm saying? I would have liked to have it.
Okay.
You feel what I'm saying? I had friends in high school who grew up in 2-parent homes. Like, you feel what I'm saying? I didn't experience that.
Mm-hmm.
When one parent's not doing for the child, the other is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's
a balance.
It's a balance.
It's a balance.
You know what I'm saying? I grew up with my mother and my grandmother and like my aunts and my uncles kicking in when they could.
Right.
Like, everybody got bills, everybody got to do stuff. So early on, and growing up with a little sister and little brother, it had to make me more of responsibility for them. You feel what I'm saying? So I had a childhood, but it's like I had a childhood watching over other kids. You know what I'm saying? Other children. You know what I'm saying? Changing diapers mad early and all that. But I grew up with a step pop. You feel what I'm saying?
Okay.
But having that, it's not the same as growing up with your blood. You feel what I'm saying? Like my little brother, my little sister, I got the same dad.
Okay.
So, you know what I'm saying, they had that little, that's my dad, that's my dad. And I'm me saying that that's my dad, it didn't really feel real because I know for a fact that it's not. Like, you feel what I'm saying? No matter how long he was in my life and all that. So it's like, it's kind of hard, you know?
Right. And I mean, for this podcast, Christianity is literally the inception process of how it came to being. And I always think about my relationship with the Lord as that of a parent and child. Yeah. So even though your biological father may have not been what you wanted him to be, may have not been what you expected him to be, may have not been what you've seen other biological parents to be, your heavenly father can always be that. And I know it's difficult to even think about them in the same way and in the same regard, but it's amazing how that if you develop a relationship with him, he will actually fill in the holes of what you feel like you've missed from that biological parent. So I just would implore my viewers that if you're in a situation similar to Terrell and you may have grown up in a household which wasn't exactly traditional, your heavenly father is always there waiting for you. He's there to fill in whatever holes, whatever gaps, whatever misgivings that you feel. He's there for you. He wants you to know that he loves you. He loves you unconditionally, and no matter what you ever do, he's there for you. So I just had to let the viewers know that, as well as you, Terrell. But I would like to close out on a positive note. And I know you don't have any children as of yet. Are you planning to have children? Do you want to have children one day? Or?
Yeah, I want to have kids.
Okay. And how do you plan on fathering and I want to hear from both genders. So I want to hear how you would father a girl and then how you plan on fathering your boy.
Oh, no, for real, I don't know. Like,
because I hear a lot in situations like these that the child or the victim or whatever in the situation, usually it turns out exactly like what happened to them, or they're the total opposite. Yeah. So where do you think you stand? Somewhere in the middle?
I'm definitely gonna be the opposite. I'm gonna definitely be hands on for anything that I help to make.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And put into this world. Like, so, my girl probably just gonna spoil like you should.
We like that.
You know what I'm saying? And my son spoil him too, but I'm gonna let him do whatever he want.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
And you're gonna be there to encourage him and to
king creator.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Yeah, you want.
Yes. Amen. Well, I think this has been an amazing episode, and I once again want to thank Terrell for just being so candid, open, honest, sharing, vulnerable, allowing us to go into some places that you probably have never gone before, just because it's not a common thing for individuals to do, is to put your pain out there and allow other people to hear from it. But our goal is that they're going to learn from it. So please take that as, we're using this information to grow and to go from it. And I know, Mira, you have, something that you would like to close out with as well.
I just have one more question. I know that you grew up in North Philly, as you said, and there's a stigma with North Philly or whatever. The neighborhoods are rougher. It's just a more tough environment to grow up in. Yeah. So I would like to know how growing up in North affected, how if that had an effect on you digging into those feelings about your dad or not.
You don't at all.
It doesn't.
You don't dig. It doesn't. You don't dig into the feelings at all.
Right.
Like you so normal. It's normalized. Like,
Right.
I got 2 close friends, probably 13 to 15 years of knowing. Nah, it's probably way more now. 18 and like 19. Neither one of their fathers is around. Neither one of their dads around.
Mm-hmm.
A couple other guys.
It's like a common theme
It's
where
common.
you come from.
It's common.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying.
And how do you feel like in the streets? You guys just kind of brush over it. You don't talk about it at all. Do you think it would be helpful if you guys could talk about it? You know, since you relate on that level.
No, they're not gonna get it. See, this is very rare. I'm even here right now talking about this. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And out there, it's like more so. You know, if you have no feelings, you're the coolest. You know what I'm saying? This is what you do. He's a gangster. He's a killer. I don't have that stigma because I know who I am. Way before we had the conversation about my pop, like I already knew who I was becoming and what I'm gonna be in life. So, like, it's kind of hard for them to do this because they ain't gonna know where to start.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And I've had this conversation with one other person, but he had his pop in his life, like, and he was saying how that he tried to kind of relate to other people, like other guys around our age in the neighborhood. And I said, bro, like, they will never understand you. You grew up with your dad. I said, I don't understand you, but
You're
you feel what
willing
I'm saying?
to
I'm
hear.
willing to listen to
Right.
you. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
And this was last week after I saw my pop. Like, so I've been having this conversation for a good, like, 4 or 5 months. So it was only like right to come on the show and actually talk about it because I already was feeling this. So.
We just appreciate your courage and your bravery so much because this is not easy. I mean, Sarita and I both have had our share of telling, vulnerable stories of our past or whatever it may be. And we definitely know how tough it can be to have these conversations. So your courage is just greatly appreciated from us and everybody here and all of our viewers. So we thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you. So this has been another episode of The Impossible Conversation with Coach Sarita
and Mira,
where we shift generations through impossible conversations. Thank you.
See you guys next time.
Bye.
Yo, it's Big Dog Still. You can follow me on Instagram at Big Dog Still and on Twitter too at BIGDAWGSTWL. I got a tape out right now. Bornport.rich. You start at the top with an intro, go to the bottom to Bonnie. Thank you.
Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Coach Sarita
and me on Instagram at AmiraHester_, and check us both out on Instagram and YouTube at The Impossible Conversation. Like, comment, and subscribe. See you guys there.